Hi, would you like to achieve more in life? Would you like to get more from yourself? Do you feel you're holding yourself back in some way? I'm Hattie Volker, I'm a qualified life coach accredited with the International Coaching Federation, and over the next 5 days I'm going to set out my 5 top strategies for doing just that.
So day 1, strategy 1. Do what you want, not what you should. Now, this might sound hedonistic. My clients, because of the areas I work in, they tend to be high achievers, often have an inbuilt, subconscious sometimes, belief that if something is valuable and worth achieving, then it must be hard to achieve and involve unpleasant, boring activities, on the no pain, no gain principle. So when they feel something is important to do, they often apply what are sometimes called smog words. Words of obligation: should, must, ought, got to, need. We have this idea that these words will help us to do these things that we haven't done otherwise. I want to challenge that. We apply these words to things that we see as important that we do, but what is the real effect of the words? The word should brings with it an implicit indication that there's at least some chance it's not going to happen. I should do X, but why? And with all these situations, we use these words because we believe that some extra pressure is needed to get us to do these things. But even if there isn't extra pressure needed, the mere use of the words seems to put these tasks on the list of chores, things that have a negative emotion around doing them, things we should do but don't really want to. And when they go on this list, let's face it, they're less likely to get done because we don't really want to do them. Take, for example, the idea of going out with mates. If you use the word should, I should go out with my mates, then the emotion around that task is suddenly heavier and more negative. Whereas if you use the word I want to go out with my mates, then I would suggest it's way more likely you're actually going to go out with your mates and enjoy going out with your mates. Let's look at the pressure too. When you use the words of obligation, another thing happens to the task. Because of the importance the task has been given by applying those words, if you don't do it or do it badly, then you have, on some level, implicitly failed or are a failure in some way. If you should go out with your mates and you sit there in a corner not being any fun to be around, then you failed because it was something you should do and you've done it badly. Or if you don't go out with your mates, then it's something you should have done and you didn't. And what does it say about you? If you want to go out with your mates and don't go out with your mates, so what? You might have missed out on a nice night out. So when you put these smog words against tasks, there's a further disincentive for doing them, because if you do them badly, then it implies you're a failure. In a sense, smog words are words of shame. You must do this, and if you don't do it or you do it badly, you're a failure. And that implies something negative about who you are. So let's look at the other side of the coin. Let's look at what I might call well words, words of enjoyment: want, enjoy, like, and love. Although for some people, these can involve complex emotions because there's that feeling of guilt around just doing something because you want to do it. But putting that to one side, in the main, if we want to do something, not only are you more likely to do it, you're more likely to get pleasure from doing it. And thirdly, if you don't do it, there's no element of failure to it. So there's much less risk to your self-esteem around these tasks. So the question is, how on earth do we turn the things that we feel are important to do into things that we want to do? The answer, I think, is simple. We look at why this task was important to you in the first place. What's your real aim? As any parent knows, the easiest way to get a child to do something is to make it something that they want to do. And when we start to tell ourselves we must or we should do something, essentially we're splitting ourselves out into a critical parent element and perhaps a stroppy teenager element. You must do this. I don't want to, or make me, oh, do I have to? So look at why the particular task was important to you in the first place. What were you going to get out of it that you wanted? Making sure the aim or goal is not too far-fetched. We're not looking at singing at Covent Garden if we're just starting out at music school, or arguing a decent case in the Court of Appeal when we're just a pupil just on our feet. But it's realistic and reachable. Taking a really small and rather silly example, my kitchen is always a mess. And for a long time I was saying, I should tidy my kitchen, I must tidy my kitchen, I need to tidy my kitchen, and it never got done. When I changed that and started looking at why I wanted my kitchen to be clean, why I wanted it tidy, I realised that I wanted it to be clean and tidy because I was slightly embarrassed when people came round and it wasn't. And having it clean and tidy helped me feel more in control of my life, and more in control of what was going on. So keeping that in mind, suddenly tidying the kitchen was doing something was to get something I wanted. I tidied my kitchen so that I could feel better when friends came round and I could invite people round on a whim, and so that I felt more in control. It may be that when you do this analysis, you discover that actually there's nothing in it for you, not even the pleasure of a loved one. In which case, you've given yourself clarity over the task and the decision whether to do it or not. You may even decide that you don't need to do it after all. Letting go of smog words won't necessarily stop the task being hard work, but it should change the emotion around the task and help with getting the motivation to get the job done, and help you to get pleasure from it. So do what you want, not what you should, and turn the things that you feel are important into things you want to do by reminding yourself why you wanted to do them in the first place. So that was my strategy 1. If you'd like to make sure that you get all 5 of the strategies, then click the button that will appear at the end of the video. If you'd like to find out more about how life coaching could transform your life, then visit my website at findyourtruevoice.co.uk.